Greetings everyone, you're watching Music is a Journey. I'm Peter Skov, and today I have the pleasure of introducing the latest release by Ningen Isu, Shikisoku-Zekuu, their 23rd album. We've got a lot to say about this, and it's actually going to be just a kind of a skim over of everything. So one of the first things I want to do is talk about the title a little bit. Shikisoku-Zekuu. This is what's called a yoji jukugo, which means it is a saying comprised of 4 kanji. And there are an awful lot of them. Most of them coming from China, I think. But anyway, Japanese study these, and if you know a lot of these here, you can actually sound very educated. Now, the meaning of this one here comes directly from Buddhist teachings. And we're going to take a look at the first kanji, shiki. That actually is the kanji for color, usually pronounced iro on its own. Next up we have sokuze. Sokuze, actually the direct translation from Chinese is that is. But for our purposes here, we can consider it as is or are, to be in English. And then the final one, ku. This means emptiness. Ku can also be pronounced kara, as in karate, which means empty hand, or karaoke, which means empty orchestra. It also can be pronounced sora, which means sky. So the meaning of this expression actually is that, in this case, shiki, iro, represents not color, but all physical matter and all phenomena that occur because of interactions between physical matter. So shiki encompasses all that kind of meaning there. So basically we have matter and physical phenomena that is emptiness, or if you want to be a little more esoteric, then void. The English translation on the Wikipedia page, the Japanese Wikipedia page, is matter is void. But I think we need to explain it a little bit deeper. Now, I'm not totally familiar with this. I just kind of researched today while I was on my way to work. But basically what the Buddhist teaching is telling us is that material things are constantly changing. There is never anything that is truly permanent because every form of physical matter is constantly evolving and changing. And the only thing that actually is constant in the world is void, emptiness. Because in emptiness, where there is no matter, there is no change. So a student of mine actually, when I asked him about this, he explained, for example, the use of ku or sora. He said, when you look at the sky, when you look at the blue sky, just looking at it without actually knowing what it is, it appears as kind of a blue wall. And we can think about it as that blue wall exists, but actually it doesn't really exist. It is just emptiness, it is just void. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing to say. We can also reverse this. We can read it the other way as ku sokuze shiki, which then means that void is reality, or void is the real thing. So void or emptiness is the only thing that truly exists. All matter, all physical matter and phenomena that exist between elements of physical matter actually do not really exist because they're always in a state of change. And this actually I thought was really interesting because a few weeks back I read someone's definition of what time was. He said, scientifically we understand what time is, and he gave this explanation which parallels this pretty closely in that time, all things, all matter in the universe is just constantly changing. Nothing ever stays totally permanent. Everything is constantly in motion, whether it be in like fractions of a second or over longer periods of time, but all matter is subject to change through heat energy, gaining energy, releasing energy, decomposition, reintegration, whatever. So those definitions of the scientific explanation of what time is and the explanation of this yoji jukugo, this meaning here, tie in very well together. Now there is also another way to look at it, because one of the definitions I saw when I checked on the internet was that material matter is vanity, or material things are vanity. And now if we think this is actually from Buddhist teachings, material things, our vanity, actually takes us a little bit over more towards the Christian side, where I believe it was Jesus who said that we should put our treasures in heaven, not in material things on earth. And reason, of course, being that material things come and go, they appear, they disappear, we gain them, we lose them, but something immaterial such as heaven or the void or the great thereafter, it's never changing, it's always there. So there is that kind of relationship, I think, between those two religious doctrines. And as well, this morning I had a little bit of a problem. I went to catch the bus to work, and I turned the corner to the bus stop just as the bus drove off. And it was a 10-minute wait for the next bus, according to the schedule. However, I know that bus that I missed left from the depot, which was right behind the bus stop. The next bus was coming from the next station down the road, about 3.5 kilometers down the road. And that bus, at that time of day, is often quite late. So I started walking. It's a 40-minute walk to the station, and I thought, let's see how we do. And partway there, I reached a bus stop, and it said the next bus is coming at 8:15. And I checked, it's 8:15. So I thought, okay, if I can catch this bus in a minute or two, I can catch the 8:34 train and I will not be late for work. However, I had to wait over 9 minutes, and there came that point where I thought I should have walked, but I didn't, and now the bus is coming late. And all this time, I'm listening to the new Ningen Isu album, but because of this predicament, I am not concentrating on some of the songs here, and getting a little bit fed up with the fact that my listening pleasure is being interrupted by all this. Finally, the bus comes. I arrive at the station exactly at 8:34, so I miss the train, have to catch the next one. And as I go down to the platform and get in the next train, I think, well, anyway, there's nothing I can do about it. I send a message to work, say that I'm going to be late. And in the end, I thought, yeah, right, you know, all material things, all phenomena, they don't really exist. It's void. And I thought, yeah, I guess that's kind of a good way to think about it. Maybe in simpler terms, don't worry, be happy, I guess. And right when I thought that, one line in the song I was listening to said, warai dase, which basically means, like, just laugh out loud or put on a smile or just, you know, for crying out loud, smile. Something to that effect. And I thought the timing was just perfect. Okay, so that story you probably didn't really need to hear, but it was just kind of an example about how this thought behind this thing here, how this concept fit into my morning today. Anyway, let's get on with talking about the album. We have 13 tracks on here. I am going to consult the notes that I typed in on my phone. Did I miss anything? First of all, don't worry, be happy. Warai dase. No, okay, good. So the first track is called Saraba Sekai, which means goodbye world. Oh, goodbye cruel world. Pink Floyd sang once, right? Saraba, actually, I've never heard this before. And I looked it up that it means goodbye, but I wondered, is it a dialect or what is it exactly? So Saraba has the same meaning of sayonara. Both of them mean basically like goodbye. Goodbye's origin being God be with you, as I once heard. God be with ye. And it means like when that person is leaving and you're not likely to see them for a long time or possibly ever. So sayonara and saraba have that same kind of connection. It's something you say usually when you are not probably going to see that person for a long time or forever. But saraba has that added thing that it is a kind of theatrical or poetic expression that is not usually used in regular conversation these days. It has an archaic feel to it. And if anybody actually says it to anybody these days, it had better be a close friend, where it's kind of like saying adieu to your friend, you know, adios, which basically means, you know, to God, you know, when you're probably not going to see that person ever again. So anyway, that's what that's all about. It starts with a picked chord, like each individual note is picked, 2 chords, bass comes in, there's a gong, and then it goes into a very typical heavy Ningen Isu rocker sung by Wajima-san. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to do yobiste. That means I'm not going to put san at the end of everybody's name. We are going to follow the English way of just saying people's family names. So Wajima, Suzuki, and Nakajima. Okay, so yeah, There's also a really terrific guitar solo. You know, this song actually is more along the heavy lines, but shortly before the guitar solo, it changes up, gets kind of more classic hard rock feel to it, and then the guitar solo really follows that classic hard rock feeling, and it kind of comes as a surprise. It's very beautifully executed. You know, Wajima can do that kind of thing, so he does it super well. Next up, we have Kamigami no Kissen, right, which is basically the Battle of the Gods. This song, I noted, has some drum breaks. It's like it does that like guitar and bass, and then bit of a drum solo. Guitar and bass, bit of a drum solo. And that is something I haven't heard them do. Out of all the kind of classic 70s, 80s heavy metal moves, hard rock moves they put in their music, I haven't heard that yet. So that was kind of a neat surprise, because honestly, first hearing, kind of just going this album over a cursory listen, it does sound very similar to Kuraku and their other recent albums. So we're looking for, where are they doing something a little bit different? What are they doing that makes this album distinct from the others? And so that was one thing that really caught my attention on that one. This is the Battle of the Gods, and there is one part where Suzuki-san is Suzuki is saying Hakkeyoi. And Hakkeyoi, he repeats that a few times. This, I had to look this one up too. This is when two combatants, usually in sumo, are facing each other and they have not been able to outdo each other. And basically they are facing each other unmoving, and then I guess the kind of referee will then shout something to say like, you guys are not done yet, or this match isn't over yet, or something like that, to encourage both of them to get back into the fight. So that's what this Hakkeyoi thing is, based on my understanding of what I read. Moving on, we got Ikiru. This is a Wajima song. This is basically just an affirmation of living life. Ikiru means to live, as in to live as a living thing. Japanese has different verbs for, like, for example, to live in a place, or to live as in reside somewhere. There's different verbs in Japanese. So this one here exactly means to live as in living a life, like being alive kind of thing. So Wajima is taking a very positive view towards that. I think actually one thing I probably should have mentioned at the beginning here, on the obi strip there is a little message on the side that says, with love, with dreams, get through the day, basically, is the translation. My friend David actually came up with that version of it. Mine was slightly different. I liked his better. And in the commentary, the album commentary that I read online, that is one of the last things that is mentioned in the commentary. The commentary actually says that it's been 3 years now that we've been getting through the pandemic. Our lives have changed a lot. A lot of people think it would be nice to get back to our lives as they were before. And Wajima thinks, like, things have changed a lot, and things are still changing in the world. We can never go back to the way things were 3 or 4 years ago. And also, the way music is being released these days is also changing. Being able to buy physical format CDs is getting more expensive and less common for a lot of people doing streaming and so forth. So he says that there are these changes afoot. There's global changes afoot and other things. And a lot of times it may seem very difficult for us to struggle through with various types of strife and hardship in our day, in this new world, as things are changing around us. So with love and with dreams, we can survive, we can get through the day. So anyway, that's back to the song Ikiru, track number 3. I thought I had to throw that in. Then we move on to Akuma Ichizoku. This means basically the clan of the devil. And of course, this is a perfect song for Suzuki to sing. It is, my notes here say it is a good heavy rocker, and it has, it's what he does best, and it has this really good bouncing groove to it. We move on to Kyoki Ningen, which basically means madman, as it's translated on the Wikipedia page. I think crazy human sounds a little bit kind of funnier. And I wondered what the lyrics were like, so I took a look at the lyrics. This is a Wajima song, by the way. And basically, what I gather is that someone is experiencing... So he says, this is madness, and then he says, no, this is shoki. And I'm actually not sure if he said shoki or seiki, but both words are the same kanji. But shoki means consciousness, and seiki, as I think I understood it, is a kind of place between heaven and earth. I couldn't understand the whole definition of that. So anyway, madness or consciousness, and he's describing a very bleak world where there is no love, there is no poetry, there is no music, there is no passion, and a very gray world. And this is madness. No, this is consciousness. So I think I think it ends with a very positive message, but it sounds like this crazy human is experiencing something very bleak and unpleasant and kind of despair, really. We move on to, let's see here, Ningen no Shomei. This is basically proof of being a human being, and this is a song sung by Suzuki. Interestingly, he puts in one of the lines here, I don't know if he wrote it or if it was Wajima, but in one of the lines it says the purpose of life is, or the goal of life is money and desire, and that's okay. But, or however, a single teardrop may become a gem. Something like that, a precious stone, you know. So this one here there's a lot of messages in this song about like, probably it's a Wajima song written by Wajima, but like if you have sunshine, you should smile. If you have rain, you should dance. If there's alcohol, you should enjoy with food. Very positive things. It actually begins with, you know, you're born into this world through birth, very traumatic experience, and the umbilical cord is cut, and you're screaming, and and basically human life is full of that kind of trauma and strife and hardship. So enjoy what you can when you can, which seems to be a strong message in here, which is interesting with this one here. Like, it's kind of like saying that no matter what is actually happening and going on and treating you roughly or badly, you know, try to look beyond it and basically don't worry, be happy, laugh out loud, enjoy what you can, and enjoy living. It seems to be a theme that's running throughout the album here, if I got it correctly. This is all just skimming over quickly. What else have I got here? Uchu Dengekitai. I think that's it. This basically means like the Space Blitzkrieg Corps. This is a very exciting Wajima song, and of course, because it's a space theme song, we get some theremin playing in it. There is one part with a really familiar guitar riff, and I keep thinking I know that guitar riff from somewhere, but I can't place it. But basically, it's a really fun, action-packed song, and they have this, you know, like, you can imagine the spaceships engaging in their blitzkrieg. They shout like fire, fire, and then they're fan, 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 fan. And I was wondering, is fan, fan supposed to be like an onomatopoeia for spaceships shooting lasers? I tried to look it up. I couldn't find anything about it, but I'm guessing that's what it is. If you hear this fan, 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 that's probably the image of the spaceships shooting their laser beams or light beams, whatever. Okay, following that is another space theme song. This is Uchi no Hito Wanderer. This is basically spaceman or space person wanderer, and this is sung by Suzuki. It starts with these kind of spacey guitar effects, which is nice because all the songs pretty much start off with a good heavy riff, and this one here gives us something different to start it off with. It is a very heavy, bombastic track, and at the very end there's this Bentora Bentora space people. And I was wondering, what on earth is he saying? So again, I tried to look this up, first in Japanese. I couldn't quite understand everything, so I had to do a little bit more snooping around. Basically, UFO believers in Japan, I think some time back, heard from some American UFO believer that Ventra was the alien word for a spacecraft. And so if you chanted Ventra Ventra space people, it was a kind of incantation to draw space people to you. And there was a funny a blog post in Japanese where some guy was trying to do this. He took a picture of the sky and he said, I repeated for 1 hour, Ventura Ventura, space people. And then he took another picture of the sky. He said it was still a blue sky. So 1 more hour I repeated, Ventura Ventura, space people. And in the third picture there was a woman getting out of a car, and he said somebody from my work came by to see what I was doing because I guess he wasn't coming back from his lunch break. I ended up finding a post on Reddit that explained this thing, as I said, about Japanese using this as a kind of incantation to draw space people, and kind of reminds me of that song by Klaatu, calling occupants of interplanetary craft, if you've heard it, or maybe you've heard the Carpenter's version. Anyway, it reminded me of that in a way. But a very cool song, a little bit of theremin in that as well. We move on to Mirai kara dashitsu, which means basically to escape from the future. And this is where Nakajima comes in and takes the lead vocal. This is a very exciting hard rocking track, and lots of Nakajima's excellent rock vocals singing like, well, basically saying words like, break out, break away in Japanese, of course. So a pretty exciting track, actually. We get on then to Jigoku Daitetsudo, which is basically Hell's Great Railway, or if you can imagine, the Grand Trunk Railway to Hell. And of course, Suzuki is singing this one. In one part, if you hear this gatang, 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 that is the Japanese onomatopoeia for a train going on the tracks. That clickety-clack, 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 as we say in English. Japanese gatang, 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 gatang. So that's what that is. If you hear that, that's a really cool track. It's got a simple bass and guitar effects part. The guitar effects sounds almost like a Japanese crossing signal, but a little bit strange, but very, very nice. Sora, let's see, Hoshizora no Michibiki, which is an acoustic track by Wajima. Basically acoustic with just a little bit of electric and some light percussion. Really nice change for the album, because we have just been getting one heavy and hard rocker after another all the way through. And that's the one thing I was thinking. Ningen Isu in their early days used to mix it up a little bit more, especially where they went through this period where they were trying out different styles and trying new things. And so an album would have some heavy rockers mixed in with a variety of other things. And the recent albums have been mostly just heavy, 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 heavy all the way through. So this is really nice, and it works very effectively when the next song, Namekuji Taiso, Slug Gymnastics, comes on, because that one really seems to just hit in heavier and just feels so much better following the acoustic track. And very cool song that one is. There is also a guitar effect that reminds me of the kind of stomach ripples, the muscle ripples in the slug's foot, I guess it is, right? They're gastropods. So now we've got a collection of songs with slugs, we've got praying mantises, we've got spiders, we've got dung beetles, all sorts of little beastie and insect theme things with Suzuki on vocals there. Of course, caterpillar, but caterpillar is, Imomushi is not actually about a caterpillar, but it's a story. I don't know if you can see it here in one of the Edogawa Rampo stories there, about a war veteran who has no arms and legs. Thus, a caterpillar, I guess. All right, and then we go on to the final track. Oh, what was it called now? Oh, that's right. Shire no Tabiji no Monogatari. Basically, the tale of the journey of death. And this is not actually death's journey. This is Wajima-san is singing this one here, and he is basically, journeying from life through to death. And the experience in the song, he's describing like various gates opening up. And the final gate that opens, he hears the voice of the judge who will judge his soul calling to him. So calling out to him, I guess. So that's what that song is all about. And I guess, it's, that view of death is actually a positive one, not a negative one. So again, we're talking about these kind of religious expressions in the music, especially, from a Buddhist point of view. So that is my quick, I don't know how quick that was, I never make quick videos, but that is basically an overview of what the 13 songs are like in brief. Do I like the album? Yes, I do. Again, as I said, when I first started listening to it, I expected it to sound very similar to Kuraku, and I thought, yes, it does. It does not introduce any kind of new thing to the Ningen Isu palette. What we've heard on the last 4 or 5 albums, this sticks to that. I think the band have already been through their phase where they try out different things and change the sound of the band little by little, but I think from about 10 years ago they went back into being a very heavy band, modernized their heavy metal sound doing kind of traditional heavy metal in a modern way, I guess. And that's what we've been getting the last few albums. But, you know, if that's what you like and that's what you buy the album for, you will not be disappointed. And like I said, even expecting that there's going to be that familiarity to the whole thing, there are still several moments on here where the bass or the drums or the guitar riff or the lyrics or something got my attention. And already there are 2 or 3 songs on here that I think, yeah, those I would put on a kind of master playlist of Ningen Isu songs if I had made such a thing, which maybe later on I will. Okay, so that's it. And just one other thing I want to mention. September 6th is the release date of this. 49 years ago on September 6th, Judas Priest released their debut album, Rockarola. And Judas Priest's first 10 albums will be the subject of my next video. Should have been doing it today, but this was more important, I felt. Judas Priest can appear on the weekend then. Everybody, if you this is your first time watching this channel, this is the first time you see me talking about Ningen Isu, I have several videos. If you go to my channel page, there's playlists. I put all my Ningen Isu videos into a playlist, so take a look at that if there's any you haven't seen. I did actually do a breakdown of all of their albums over a 4 video stretch, plus, you know, reviewed some other albums as they came out. So yeah, you're welcome to go ahead and take a look at those. That's it. That wraps up today's video. Thanks all for watching, and hey, enjoy the album. Hope you can get it soon. Take care. See ya.